You're in for a great discussion here this morning, and I'm very, very excited to have Bob Lynch, Americans for the Arts, and Robert Redford here in Philadelphia, but more importantly, to have all of you here today. Thank you so much.
Please welcome a great friend of the arts and business and Americans for the Arts, Robert Redford.
I think our time's up, huh?
I think we're done.
Yeah.
But you once told me a story of a key moment in your life when you were a third grader that got you involved, and I think even on a pathway to this life, but also saved you in a way. Can you just share that?
Yeah, I grew up in Los Angeles, lower working class family, lower working class neighborhood, and it was the end of the Second World War. I was in the third grade, and I was a bad student. I was a bad student because I couldn't get focused in class. I was bored, and I would spend my time looking out the window, but I would mostly draw. And that's was my personal occupation at that age, because it pleased me. It was a form of, I guess, my own self-expression. And I would draw stories. They were just for my own amusement. But anyway, I was in class, and because at that time, I didn't know it then, but at that time, most of the good teachers were involved in the war. And so we had substitute teachers, but I didn't know. It just wasn't very good. So it wasn't very inspiring, and so I wasn't inspired. Anyway, I was drawing one day and not paying attention, and the teacher caught me. And she tried to make a case with me and humiliate me to teach me a lesson. She says, well, I see what Bobby Redford over there has something more interesting than what we're talking about. And maybe what he's doing is more interesting than learning. And she just really put me down, and I thought I was a goner. I just thought I was done. I said, why don't you come up and show us what's so important, what's more important than what we're learning here? So I took the drawing up in front of the class, and I held it up. She asked me to say what it was, and I said, well, I said, these are cowboys chasing Indians over a cliff, and they're shooting at the Indians, and the Indians are shooting back with arrows, and above the cowboys are B-52 bombers bombing the cowboys. Well, what happened was the class was sort of interested, and they reacted, and I think at that moment was the junction you're talking about, because it could have been the end of me, because I already felt bad. I felt like I was a bad kid. There were other reasons for that, but I was not a good student. So I could have just been completely done in. And she saw that was how I expressed myself. And she said, I tell you what, we'll make a deal. She said, I'll put an easel here and put some newspaper print paper, and you can come every Wednesday and spend 15 minutes and draw us a story. If you'll pay attention the rest of the time. And so that was the deal. And I think that was the thing you're talking about. That was a junction in my life that could have gone the other way. And in a way, I guess it's extreme to say it, but I guess it did kind of save my life, because I felt that I wasn't a total lost cause.
One of the things, you had this beautiful place that you were enjoying, and some 30 years ago, you were well into a successful career as an actor and director, and you could have just focused there. But instead, you were driven to start that various group of businesses. What was the catalyst to make that move? In the beginning,
it was not a wholly conceived thing. In other words, whatever happened was a small step would be taken forward, and that small step would create something that might succeed, and if it succeeded, it would create other opportunities that you would take advantage of, and you just kept moving forward, one iteration leading to the next. My first involvement with business, because I never saw myself as a businessman, and to this day I think I probably have a struggle if somebody said, well, you're a businessman, it's something that doesn't hit my ear right, considering how I started my life. But I think I started as an artist because that's what I am. And then because of success, it opened up for new opportunities where I could expand whatever skills I had, I could expand into other areas and push myself forward, and that felt good. And so suddenly you create an idea, and because nobody votes for a new idea, you have to kind of bear it and prove it yourself. And then if you get it to a point where it looks like something, then you might get some support and so forth. And one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, you've got a business or a brand. And for me, a brand was always something you stamped on cattle. And so I couldn't adjust to a brand being associated with me. It just happened because I wasn't thinking about that. And so therefore, when suddenly you find yourself, in order to develop the idea you have, you're in business. And that's how I found myself in business. But it started out as an idea for preservation. I mean, I bought land, and I just wanted a little piece of a place for myself. And then as I built a family, I built a cabin. I wanted it to be really in the semi-wilderness because I lived in New York, and I liked the idea of the tough urban environment of a city and a wilderness area to be in and to raise a family in. And then when I started to expand, I would add more land to protect that initial investment.
What do you look for in the creative team and the individuals behind you who can help move your vision or various visions to reality?
Well, I would say I've not been very successful with that, and it's very important. And because I was an artist who stumbled into something and suddenly there was a business related to what my idea was, I was not prepared for that. I spoke a language as an artist, and when I had to build a sort of a team of people to support me and to take the story forward, I was not good at it because I spoke more in an abstract way and it couldn't be understood by them. So it was a language I had to learn in order to survive, and that took me into that area. And what I came to realize, the first time I ever spoke to a group of people in business, I was completely out of it. I mean, just totally naive. I just finished the film Butch Cassidy, and I just starting Sundance at that time, and I was asked to speak to a bunch of bankers. And I said, well, I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what, this is a weird state, to get a loan. And so they said, that doesn't matter, just talk to them. And so anyway, I got up to speak, and I was nervous, and what came out was kind of like a harangue because I was so nervous. And I said, why is it so hard to get a loan in this state, and don't you know you can't take it with you, and blah, 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 blah. So all the wrong things. I just said all the wrong things. And when it was over, it was just dead silent, and everybody was filing out, and I thought, God, I've just totally blown it, Sundance, I'm never going to get a loan. And a guy, the head of Security First National, goes out and he said, Mr. Redford, appreciate your comments tonight. And I thought, oh, yeah. And he said, I have a question for you. And I said, what? And he said, did you really make the jump off the cliff in Butch Cassidy? And then I realized it didn't matter what. But I still had to learn. I had to learn how to speak and how to listen. And I had to learn what the value of the bottom line in thinking. And so therefore, in starting Sundance, I had to rely on people who would come in and carry the idea forward because I was not good at it. And then that's when I realized how important the people you bring in are. That first of all, they have to understand what your idea is. Then you have to know how to tell your story. And that was a very difficult learning process in the beginning.
Anything else that you'd like to add to today's discussion, Bob?
Well, I appreciate the people coming here today. I appreciate that. I love to go to a city and feel the city and see the people in it.